Let me ask you something uncomfortable. What if the reason you still worry about money has nothing to do with how much you earn? Because right now, there are people making $35,000 a year who sleep fine at night, and there are people pulling $180,000 who wake up at 3 a.m. checking their bank balance. Same planet, same basic math, completely different financial reality. That gap has a name, and it is not income. It is not discipline in the way your parents meant it. It is something far more structural, something the financial services industry has spent decades making sure you never figure out. Here is what they want you to believe, that financial security is a destination, that one day if you earn enough, spend less, and maybe get lucky with a property, you will arrive somewhere safe. You will cross a line. The worry stops. You exhale. That is a lie. Financial security is not a destination, it is a velocity. And the difference between those two words is the difference between spending your life chasing a finish line and building a machine that runs without you. I'm going to show you exactly how that machine works. I'm going to give you the specific monthly number you need to hit, and I'm going to show you why that number is almost certainly not what you think it is. Because most people are trying to solve a cash flow problem when the real enemy is something else entirely. But before I give you the number, you need to understand what you are actually saving against. Because if you get the target wrong, the right amount of money will still not save you. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are not poor because they spend too much. They're financially trapped because they've been systematically trained to confuse liquidity with wealth. Those are not the same thing, and the gap between them is where the middle class bleeds out every single month without realizing it. A savings account with $12,000 in it feels like safety, and for exactly one car engine replacement, one emergency hospital visit, or 4 months of unemployment, it is. After that, it's gone. And you're back at zero, feeling like you failed at something, when really you just ran a system that was never designed to compound. Real financial safety is not about the size of your cushion, it's about whether your money is working while you are not. And that concept, that your money should be doing labor so you eventually don't have to, is the actual foundation of what we're building today. So, let's run the real math. The question is not how much do I need to have to feel okay. The real question is how much monthly capital do you need producing income to make your wages optional? Not quit your job optional, genuinely optional, where you go to work because you choose to, not because missing a paycheck would detonate your life. That's the target. That's what never worrying about money actually means in mechanical terms. Now here's where most financial content goes soft. They give you a percentage. Save 20% of your income. Okay, great. 20% of what? At what yield? Deployed how? Going where? A number without a system is just a comfort blanket with math on it. So here's the system. There's a concept used by institutional investors, the kind managing pension funds and endowments, called the perpetual distribution rate. The idea is simple. If your portfolio generates a return above a certain threshold, you can withdraw a fixed percentage every year indefinitely without touching the principal. The principal keeps growing. The distributions keep flowing. The machine does not stop. For an individual investor, a conservative version of this is a 4% annual withdrawal rate from a diversified portfolio. That number has been stress-tested across decades of market data, including crashes, stagflation, and every economic disaster in between. It's not perfect, but it's the closest thing to a structural guarantee that exists in personal finance. What that means practically is this. For every $1,000 of monthly expenses you want covered permanently without working, you need $300,000 in productive assets. Read that again. $1,000 per month in financial independence costs $300,000 in productive capital. So, let's map this to real life. The average person in a mid-sized city spends roughly $3,500 to $4,500 a month on everything: rent or mortgage, food, transport, utilities, phone, subscriptions, a social life, and the occasional piece of clothing that's not falling apart. Call it $4,000 even, because round numbers reveal the truth faster. To generate $4,000 in passive income at a 4% withdrawal rate, you need $1.2 million in liquid productive capital.
Right. Now the average person just closed the tab in their head, but stay with me, because this is exactly where the trap is set. Most people hear $1.2 million and immediately calculate how far away that is and give up. What they should be calculating is, at a realistic return with consistent monthly contributions, how fast does this actually compound? And this is where I need you to understand something that the financial media glosses over constantly. Compounding is not linear, it is exponential. And exponential curves are psychologically invisible until they are not, because for the first several years, they look flat. They look like nothing is happening. That is not a bug in the system. That is the filter. Most people quit during the flat part, which is why most people never see the curve. Here is what the curve actually looks like in practice. If you invest $1,500 a month into a diversified index portfolio earning 8% annually, which is conservative against the historical average, you will have approximately $276,000 after 10 years. That generates around $11,000 a year in safe withdrawals, or about $920 a month. Not life-changing yet, but your contributions are now being significantly outpaced by the portfolio's own growth. By year 15, that same $1,500 monthly contribution has built a portfolio worth roughly $523,000. Now you are generating $20,900 per year, $1,740 per month, without touching the principal. By year 20, you cross $900,000. Your money is generating $36,000 per year, $3,000 a month, without working. At year 23, you clear $1.2 million. The machine is complete. Your wages are optional. But here's what nobody talks about. The year 23 version of you is not being built by year 23 contributions. It is being built right now. The money you put in during years 1 through 5 is the money doing the heaviest lifting by year 20. The early contributions are the foundation that everything else is built on. Delay 5 years and you do not just lose 5 years. You lose the compounding those 5 years generate across the remaining 18. The math is brutal in both directions. Now, I need to give you the real number, not the aspirational number, the honest one. To reach financial independence, to genuinely never worry about money again within a 20-year window, you need to be investing between $1,200 and $2,000 per month into growth assets consistently, regardless of market conditions. If you can push that to $2,500 or $3,000, you compress the timeline to 15 years. If you're starting from zero, the lower end of that range is still enough, but only if you start now. Every 12 months you delay at the beginning costs you roughly $40,000 to $60,000 at the end, not in contributions, in compound returns on those contributions. This is also the point where I need to be honest with you about something most financial content gets deliberately vague on, because this is where the strategy actually lives. The number you need to save is not fixed. It's a function of 3 variables: your monthly expenses, your return rate, and your time horizon. If you lower one, you can relax another. Lower your monthly expenses by $800 and your required capital drops by $240,000. That means you need roughly 3 fewer years to reach freedom. Cut lifestyle creep before it takes root, and you buy yourself years of your life back. This is also why the wealthy do not save money the way the middle class does. The middle class saves what is left after spending. The wealthy spend what is left after saving, and that saving goes immediately into vehicles that generate a return. The money never sits idle. It is deployed the moment it exists. That sequence, earn, deploy, spend the remainder, is the actual behavioral architecture of financial independence. Everything else is decoration. Now, here's the part of this conversation that gets uncomfortable, because we've talked about the number, we've talked about the timeline, but we haven't talked about the real reason most people never get there. And it's not discipline, it's not income, it's financial noise. The modern financial environment is engineered to generate anxiety, not because anxiety is a side effect, but because anxious people make terrible financial decisions, and terrible financial decisions are profitable for the institutions around them. When you're scared about money, you check your balance compulsively, you react to market drops, you move money in and out of positions based on headlines, you buy products you don't need because spending feels like control when saving feels impossible. Every single one of those behaviors is a revenue event for someone else. The single most powerful thing you can do, the tactic that costs nothing and generates the highest financial return of anything I'm about to tell you, is to automate your investments before you can spend the money. Transfer your investment contribution on payday before you see it, before it lands in your current account, before your brain counts it as available. Make it structurally invisible.
When money never enters your spending environment, you never miss it, and it never sits idle. This is not a psychological trick. This is architectural engineering. You are removing the decision from the system entirely. Because here is what humans are actually bad at: resisting something they can see and touch. We are not weak-willed, we are not undisciplined, we are human, which means if the money is there, the brain generates justifications for spending it that feel completely rational in the moment. Automation does not fight that instinct, it makes the instinct irrelevant. The second tactic, and this one is harder, but it separates the people who build real wealth from the people who read about building wealth, is to run a 12-month expense audit with one specific question. Which of these expenses is growing at a rate faster than my income? That is lifestyle creep, and it is not dramatic. It does not feel like anything. You got a raise, so you upgraded the apartment. You hit a bonus, so the car got nicer. These feel like rewards. They are actually anchors. Every lifestyle upgrade you make locks in a higher monthly requirement, which means a higher capital target, which means more years before your wages become optional. This is not about living on rice and deprivation. It is about being deliberate. Every spending decision is either buying you time or selling it. Here is where this ends. You came into this video asking how much you need to save every month to never worry about money again. The answer is $1,200 to $2,000, starting now, deployed consistently into growth assets, automated before you can spend it, with your lifestyle expenses held flat even as your income grows. That is the number. That is the system. But here is what I want you to leave with, the thing underneath the number. Financial security is not something that happens to you when your account hits a threshold. It's a condition you create through the architecture of your decisions. The worry does not stop because of the balance. It stops because you have built something that produces without you, and you finally understand how it works. Most people will hear this, feel something shift in their chest for about 20 minutes, and then return to their existing pattern, because information without action is just entertainment. The people who actually build this, they do one thing differently. They start before they feel ready, before the number feels achievable, before the timeline feels short enough. They start on a Tuesday because that is the day they heard the truth clearly enough to act on it. Whether that Tuesday is today, that's the only question left.